All right, today I'm going to be talking about the Expert lumber staining machine, and this is a mobile staining machine that you can easily pick up, put in the back of a truck, take to a job site. It's a mechanical staining machine, non-motorized, and it houses the stain right here, applies stain to the lumber. Now this is a paint and stain machine, and I'm going to talk about what I use when I'm staining lumber with the fences, decks, and pergolas, the products I use and why I use it. Now this device, I get a lot of questions, can I use water-based coatings with it? Can I use paint with it? You could use virtually anything with the machine. The machine was designed and created over in Italy to paint trim with, interior trim. So it was designed and created to use water-based paints to paint trim and get a smooth glassy finish on interior wood trim. Now it's been adopted to do a lot of other stuff like staining exterior lumber for decks, fences, and pergolas. You can use water-based coatings, you can use oil-based coatings on it, and the only real difference is kind of like the cleanup, dry time. I mean, you can't just let it set out with a drying product like a latex product in the sun. Expert stain seal oils, I use their transparent, semi-transparent, and semi-solid oils, and there's multiple reasons why I absolutely love their products paired with this machine. They are penetrating oils, means the oils are going to penetrate in the wood. They'll literally penetrate all the way through the entire lumber, and it's adding something to the wood, keeping it from drying out, splitting, checking, cracking, all that stuff. You're adding something to the wood that's going to increase the life of the wood. It is a self-leveling oil, and this is extremely important when it comes to using a machine like this. You're handling the lumber, you're pushing it through, coming out the backside, you're grabbing it, you're handling it with your hands, and you're touching it with your fingers and stuff. If you are using like paints and stains, drying paints and stains, latex, oil-based, that handling of it could leave fingerprints, especially if you're on like a smooth lumber or a smooth type wood. So you got to be very careful how you handle it coming out the end. With Expert Stain and Seal oil being a self-leveling oil, I don't have to worry about that at all. Whether wood is smooth, this is rough sawn, which is very common up here. You can just grab it, handle it. It's going to self-level, it's going to self-flow, and eventually, probably in about 10 minutes, it's usually about 5-10 minutes, you won't even see those fingerprints at all. An hour later, you're not going to see them at all. You can actually up stack them, down stack them. We pull them out, we up stack it for about an hour, and then we down stack them after an hour. And being a penetrating oil and a self-leveling oil, you can down stack them and have them ready to go for the installers. The self-leveling oil is a very important component. Now, I know I've gotten a lot of feedback, across my social media, people saying you got fingerprints all over it, or we're setting the ends as we're up stacking, we're setting them in the ground, on the ground. So it is a non-drying oil along with self-leveling. So we're handling it, we're up stacking them, we're setting them, say on grass, on dirt, whatever. The oil penetrates, it doesn't dry, so it's not going to stick to the ground. The dirt's not going to stick to it, grass isn't, it's going to stick to it. It's just the end of the board. So that component of it being non-drying is also a very important component. So down stacking them, all that stuff, they're not going to stick together. Got some feedback, on some of my social media. We were immediately down stacking them, and people were saying, aren't those boards going to stick together? Being a non-drying oil, they are not going to stick together. That's another big benefit to the product. Now, there is a drying component to this. Now, the product that we use, Expert Stain and Seal oils, like the last product we were using was a semi-solid Cape Cod gray color. And the oil itself, the product, you can literally let this machine, after you're done using it with Expert Stain and Seal oil, you can let it sit out for a couple days and come back and clean it up a couple days later. You typically want to, just like anything, clean it up at the end of the day, just like you would an airless sprayer. But if you're using using this machine and you're on a job site for say 3 days, running lumber through it, you don't have to clean it every single day because it is a non-drying oil. But if you let it set for a long enough period of time, if you let it set for several weeks or say a month out in the sun, there is a drying component to it. The oil and stuff, everything's going to settle down to the bottom. The oil's not going to dry. There is like the colorant in it, and there's certain things in the product that will dry, will actually bond to the machine. It'll harden the rollers. The oil will, say like on these rollers, it's going to settle down to the bottom of the roller. You're going to have a lot of tint and colorant setting in the top, and that's the part that's actually a dry cake and get hard. So you definitely want to, when you're all done with the machine, the cleanup process is really pretty simple. We just wipe it all out with rags. Then I take crocodile cloths, I wipe it down with crocodile cloths. I take my rollers out, I take my brushes out, I just put them in a 5-gallon bucket with a lid. Being a non-drying, oil and a product, just put them in a 5-gallon bucket and a lid. They're not going to dry out, they're not going to harden up. We had it up and we were using it on one job on doing siding up in the mountains. Used it for about a week and didn't clean it up one time. At the end of the job, we cleaned it all out. Now it is good, like if it's sitting out in the sun for a week just to cover it up, overnight when you're not actively using it and stuff. Expert Stainless Steel Oil is a great product paired, with this tool. Now you can use, any company's oil-based product. You can use drying oil-based products also, but once again, the drying component to it, there's products out there, say if you're using a solid color stain, running a solid color stain through it, it's not going to be a problem. Handling it at the end, you're going to want to be very careful where you handle it, and as you upstack it, you'll probably have to brush out your fingerprints, but it's not going to be that big of an issue, when it comes to the cost savings, time savings of using the machine itself. Like I say, it was designed to actually, paint trim before it is installed in houses and stuff. I haven't personally used it for any type of paint, so I don't have any experience with the finish of what it looks like. I heard it gives a pretty dang good finish, and over in Europe, brushed on finishes are very common. So in the United States, sprayed on finishes are common, which is a little bit different look. It is the Expert Stain machine paired with Expert Stain and Seal products. Their oils is an awesome machine. It's going to make you a lot of money.